What's up, guys? Part-Time Gamer Dad here. I debated whether or not to make this video, but here it is. It is my AEW Revolution 2025 review, which might turn into a rant at some point, so I apologize. I'm going to talk fast. I don't have much time to film this. I got to go pick up my kids here soon, but let's get right into it. We're going to skip all of the 0-hour pre-show stuff. Let's get right into the actual main card. We had Hangman Adam Page defeating MJF in a pretty solid match. One of the things I want to talk about is what I don't like that AEW does, and I loved AEW in its inception, in its first few years of life. I thought it was a really, really good alternative to WWE. As we've continued to go further down the path of AEW being its own company, and now we're 5.5 years in, there are really good matches they put on, and there's a lot of things they do that just leaves me scratching my head. It's very much like WWE in the 2010s and early 2020s, honestly, to a degree, and a lot of things they were doing were really bizarre, really had you questioning the people who were in charge, and now we're in greener pastures, right? We're in a really good time with WWE. When it comes to AEW, I feel like really solid matches from a core group performers, like Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, some of those guys. And then a lot of the other stuff around all that is just not very good. So this match, really solid. I give it 4 stars. There was a moment where Hangman Adam Page did a moonsault, and MJF caught him, and then it was transitioned into a tombstone attempt on the outside by Hangman Adam Page, which was then reversed into a tombstone from MJF to Hangman Adam Page on a chair on the outside. It's really annoying to me. You know, Elijah, the former Elias, former Ezekiel, he also uses the tombstone as a finisher. I feel like the move is not treated with the same level of respect as it once was. And it's just kind of frustrating to see. And, you know, it's very similar to when Kyle Fletcher hit the leaping tombstone onto the steel steps on the outside to Will Ospreay, and that wasn't the finish of the match. I feel like that match should be protected more. That might just be a very, very me thing, a very objective opinion. But this match, really solid. I can't wait to see. Obviously, this is the one prediction I think I got wrong in the whole show, and of course, it started off the show, so I was immediately not going to go for Sweep City, but 4 stars for this match. Then we had Mercedes Moné defeating Momo Watanabe. There's not much I can say about this match. It went kind of long. I give it 3.25 stars. Perfectly fine. I think if you wanted to showcase Mercedes Moné more effectively, build her up to be a more dominant champion, because when we look at all of these contenders around the AEW TBS championship scene, I look at something like this and I think you want to put her on a pedestal, because Momo Watanabe, we pretty much knew she was not going to win this title. And yes, Mercedes can put on good matches from time to time, but I actually think you make her a bigger star if you solidify the fact that she is dominant, very similar to Jade Cargill. I said in my prediction video, I see Mercedes Moné holding this title for a couple hundred more days to surpass the Jade Cargill reign record. And then she can go on and lose it after she achieves breaking that reign, because I think they want to kind of erase the Jade Cargill longest title reign of all time. So build her up, make her a little bit more dominant, and then you have somebody come and stop her. This match, perfectly fine, perfectly serviceable. They did some cool stuff, and obviously Mercedes Moné winning was the right call. 3.25 stars there. Then we had Swerve Strickland defeating Ricochet. I called it. I knew it. This match, for the same amount of time, they both went about 18 minutes. This one was a step above the Mercedes and Watanabe match. This match, I give 4.25. So this match, I think, was a really good showcase by both guys, but it really identified and showed that Swerve Strickland is like the guy in AEW. He is the horse that they're hitching their cart to, and for a lot of good reasons. He does really good character work. He's incredibly athletic. Ricochet in his own right is also a very athletic, very talented performer, but he's just not at that level yet that I think could hold down a main title program. He may never be. He may always be more of that kind of upper mid-card tier kind of guy, but Swerve Strickland, and he had a great match. And then the returning of the robe to Prince Nana for Swerve Strickland, really great touch. And obviously the right call, because as we'll see later, this allows for him to be a proper babyface as he goes for the AEW World Championship against the current champ. Next up, Kazuchika Okada defeated Brody King to retain the AEW Continental Championship in one of the shortest matches of the night, about 10-11 minutes. And rightfully so. I mean, I love Brody King, but I don't think anybody ever thought that Brody King was going to defeat Okada for the Continental Championship. Okada is going to continue to hold that title. I honestly think we're going to have a unification match between he and the man who holds the International Championship right now, which we'll get to here in a moment, at All In. And then, because if you look at the AEW ecosystem, there's just too many titles. We need to kind of consolidate and give a little bit more, I guess, legitimacy, a little bit more prestige to these titles. If everybody has a title, then, do they mean as much? You think about the trios titles, like, they're not even really being showcased at all right now. So I think it's going to be a really interesting story to see what happens with Okada when he loses his championship. But this match was really well done. For the time they had, I give it 3.5 stars. Brody King is an incredible talent, especially for a guy his size. And Kazuchika Okada is arguably one of the best wrestlers in the world today. So no surprise, not a whole lot of time for them to showcase what they could do. But with the time they had, really well executed for 3.5 stars. The next match was, I believe, the shortest match on the night. The Hurt Syndicate defended their AEW Tag Team Championships against the Outrunners. I sent in my prediction video that Hurt Business might just straight up win. Bobby Lashley might do Bobby Lashley things, and he did Bobby Lashley things. And they won and retained the titles. It's a 2.5 star match. It's nothing incredible. I really like how the Hurt Syndicate is presented, how they are booked, how they are treated, how they are kind of put onto a pedestal of like this unstoppable organization, right, within the AEW world, inside the AEW landscape. And it'll be interesting to see if we continue just to focus on them as a tag team, or eventually Bobby Lashley will get to go after a singles title. I think he would be an incredible AEW World Champion, as we saw in TNA Impact, and even in WWE with MVP by his side. Get the rest of the Hurt Syndicate to kind of come around him, diversify who's the tag champ with Shelton Benjamin. Maybe AEW says, let's get Bobby Lashley to be like this monster heel after the Death Rider story ends. And then you make him and Hurt Syndicate like the #1 heels in the business. He, relinquishes his half of the AEW World Tag Team Championship and gives it to somebody else who then runs with Shelton Benjamin. Is it too much to ask? I know he's had a really hard time and it's probably not the best person, but is it too hard to ask for just maybe like, I don't know, Charlie Haas to tag back up with Shelton Benjamin, bring back the world's greatest tag team as part of Hurt Syndicate? I know that defeats the purpose of the Hurt Syndicate. I know, but just what I'm saying is it could be fun to see. This match, like I said, 2.5 stars. Hurt Syndicate to retain. Well done. And I am excited to see eventually maybe the Outrunners can win the tag titles. I said originally this summer, but this match I think kind of showed us where the Outrunners lie within the landscape of AEW. Next up, we had arguably the match of the night. I think not quite, because it didn't get as much time to showcase the things they could do. But for what it was, the amount of time they had to showcase, and for the sheer brutality of this match, Timeless Toni Storm defeating Mariah May in a Falls Count Anywhere match for the AEW Women's World Championship. This is a 4.25, maybe 4.5. I think it's, you know what? I'm going to give it 4.5. It's a 4.5 star match. Like I said, Timeless Toni Storm retaining the title makes all the sense in the world. I think that it'll be interesting to see where we go from here. Do we continue the Mariah and Toni storyline that's really kind of dominated the AEW Women's World Championship scene for the last, at least year? It'll be really interesting to see where we go from here and who could be considered like an actual contender to Timeless Toni Storm. You need a lot of seeds planted and storylines to be integrated into each other to make an effective emotional story that we could buy into. That was Mariah May and Timeless Toni Storm. And even the return after Mariah May won, Timeless Toni Storm went away, she came back. It all was very emotional and very heartfelt. And so what I'd like to see is Timeless Toni Storm have some fresh new faces come up against her, and during that time we can build somebody else up. Maybe we get to a point where we do get Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné. Maybe Mercedes Moné says, I've defeated everyone there is to defeat. I've broken the record, and I am relinquishing my title, and I'm going after the AEW Women's World Championship. I wouldn't hate it. This match, though, shows why Timeless Toni Storm was voted the best gimmick in wrestling last year. 4.5 stars for these women putting on an incredible show. Kenny Omega did defeat Takeshita for the AEW International Championship. I said he could win by pinfall. He could win by submission. He could win by DQ or countout. But whatever happened, I thought Kenny Omega was going to win, but maybe not win the title. Boy, was I wrong. He did. This was the second longest match of the night. I think it was just a hair shorter than the match that followed this. So Kenny Omega defeating Takeshita oh man, it's like, do you give it, where do I go? It's between two scores. I'm going to say this show has had three really solid matches in a row. And I think this is better than the women's match. Is it as good as the steel cage match? You know what? I'm going to just say this match is a 5-star match. If Takeshita retained the title, or if there was a schmoz with the DQ or count out, it would have been 4 3/4. But I kind of love that Kenny didn't hit the one wing angel, and instead it was kind of like a counter of roll-ups, and who just is outsmarting the other one. It was more technical, and who just gets the pin through sheer grit and determination. And that's what happened to finish this match. I love stories like that. And it's kind of like Kenny's redemption tour, and like he's coming back, and Takeshita has beaten him, and like, can he still get the job done? Is he still the best bout machine? And he is. So Kenny Omega, Takeshita, 5 stars, new champ, love to see it, and I cannot wait to see. Guys, I really think Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada are going to have a unification match at All In. All In is taking place in my hometown of Arlington, Texas. I'm not going to be able to go. We are moving this summer. We're moving like 2 weeks before this, so I'll be doing a review video. I don't typically buy AEW pay-per-views. I kind of go other places and watch them, or I kind of catch the snippets and then I review it later. So I don't watch them live. I might watch this one live because I think it would be really fun to see that big of a show in a place I'm familiar with, between two of my favorite wrestlers, especially of the last 15 years, but maybe of all time. Maybe I need to do a new top wrestlers video. If you've ever seen it before, I don't know if I have many AEW guys in my top 25, but it's about time I updated it. Will Ospreay defeated Kyle Fletcher by pinfall. Guys, one of the craziest spots I've ever seen was that Spanish fly off the top of the steel cage from Will Ospreay to Kyle Fletcher. This match was also easily 5 stars. If you're new to the channel, I don't go above 5 stars typically. I can't ever actually think of a time I have gone above 5 stars. For a match, I think that's kind of like my ceiling. And if you like to know my favorite match of all time, it's Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 21. Very technical. I did not grow up on the high-flying stuff. I've always appreciated more of that technical, high octane, high action, intensity kind of wrestling. But the high-flying stuff, while I really appreciate it, has never been like, oh man, that to me is what I live for. This match does a really good job of blending a lot of those pieces. And I think this is where I'm coming around to people like Will Ospreay. He continues to put on matches that are really thoughtful and really well thought out and are cinematic. That at the beginning there, where Kyle Fletcher had his fingers in his ears and everybody's chanting Ospreay, Ospreay as his music's going on. They're both standing at the top of the steel cage. What an incredible visual that was. But it kind of lent the notion that like this story, this like feud, is not just because it's the family versus Will Ospreay. Like, you're really feeling like Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay, even before the whole, Fletcher joining the family storyline started, there's like so much history here. And how long has this pent up aggression and this resentment been there from Kyle Fletcher? And I thought that moment just added to the storyline and overall just the story of the match really, really well. So that one also easily 5 stars. Now we get to my rant. The AEW World Championship match between Jon Moxley and the Rated R superstar Adam Copeland, FKA Edge. I refuse after this. Refuse. I called him Cope a ton in my prediction video. I'm done. I'm done calling him Cope. He's Adam Copeland. Cope is such a dumb name. And you know what? It's even dumber that we had to sit there and watch this plotting, not very great match between two guys who I would say are for me as a wrestling fan, so instrumental for me having a passion for wrestling. Dean Ambrose at the time, but Jon Moxley was probably my favorite wrestler of like 2014 to 2017, just overall. And I've been a huge AJ Styles fan my whole life, so he was always in the mix too. But I really bought into Dean Ambrose at the time that he was like breaking off from the Shield and kind of feuding against Seth Rollins and winning the WWE Championship, all those pieces, right? And then you have a guy in Adam Copeland, Edge, who is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. He's in my top 5. One of my core memories as being a wrestling fan was being at WrestleMania 38, watching Edge and AJ Styles, my number 4 and my number 2 favorite wrestlers of all time, throw down at WrestleMania, and it was incredible. This match shows why Adam Copeland should maybe consider slowing it down, mixing it up with some mid-card guys. Jon Moxley, to me, I think this solidifies the fact that he is probably the weakest of the three Shield members, and I don't want to misrepresent how I feel. Jon Moxley's incredible. He is not at the same level. And this whole idea of Christian Cage cashing in for the AEW World Championship here was stupid. Like, I cannot express to you the level of stupidity I got from seeing this go down, because you have these two guys who are just so incredibly protected in Jon Moxley and Adam Copeland that they basically said Christian Cage, hey, we were going to send you out there. We're going to let you be the scapegoat in this AEW World Championship matchup where we painted ourselves into a corner and we cannot determine who we want to lose, who we want to jeopardize their credibility. So in doing that, we're going to jeopardize your credibility as one of the top heels of the last 2-3 years. Oh, also, we're not going to build you properly leading up into Revolution. And then we're going to have you do your cash in from the Casino Gauntlet, and you're not even going to win. And it was just like so stupid. If you wanted to build some credibility, I mean, have Adam Copeland win the AEW World Championship and then have Christian Cage cash in and win. Or maybe if you want Jon Moxley to defeat Adam Copeland, just have him defeat Adam Copeland if you wanted him to retain the championship, which I think was the right call, because now you get Swerve versus Mox, and that'll be a great moment when Swerve defeats Mox for the AEW World Championship at Dynasty. But did you need Christian Cage to cash in just to lose by getting choked out by Jon Moxley? It was like watching the Wish.com version of the WrestleMania 31 ending, where Seth Rollins came in, cashed in, and defeated Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Championship. That was the heist of the century, and this was the worst of the century. This was a moment, when I think about AEW, I think there's core moments that have occurred, right? Jon Moxley showing up at the end of Omega and Jericho at Double or Nothing. CM Punk, when he arrives at the United Center on that Rampage, and then also there's core memories of just absolute crap in AEW. One that I can think of was when the Young Bucks and Tony Khan showed that video of CM Punk and Jack Perry scrapping in the backstage area, or this. Christian Cage cashing in just to get choked out by Jon Moxley. Now, if they had done this and he was choking him out and he pinned him like he started to, and then Jon Moxley pulled him away and he had won the title that way, I could forgive it. I still think it would have been something where I didn't love it, but I would have found it entertaining at least. This is not entertaining. This is anything but entertaining. This is where you start seeing how Tony Khan's little like fantasy booker brain works, and he can't really envision anything past the idea of what he envisions as, like, I'm going to take my two like wrestling figures and have them fight each other, and I'll let them determine it. And now you're also letting the inmates run the asylum, like Will Ospreay defeating Kyle Fletcher. Tony Khan might have picked who won, but like it's left up to Will Ospreay to put that match together, and that's why it was so good. This match, you know, Tony Khan booked it. You know, he probably was the agent, or he worked really closely with the agent, producer who put this match together. Christian Cage never should have been in this situation. He never should have jeopardized that cash in because it was the first of its kind. Now, I wouldn't even want to win the cash in because the precedent of it is that you lose. Whereas when Edge cashed in the Money in the Bank the first time, it set a really great precedent. So yes, I know I'm rambling. I know I'm ranting. I hate this match. I hate it. I hate it so much. 2.25. You guys can come at me. You can come at me in the comments. I will, and you know what? If you love this match, fair play to you. I respect all opinions. I cannot get the taste out of my mouth of Christian Cage cashing this in just to lose in such a stupid way. In such a stupid way of cashing in just so he could lose his right to an AEW World Championship. What should have happened was Adam Copeland wins the World Championship, Christian Cage cashes in on him, and now we have potentially Christian Cage versus Swerve for the title, which would be a callback, but the roles are reversed. Or you could have just had Adam Copeland win the world title and take on Swerve Strickland. That could have been fine. Or, you know what? Call me crazy. Make Jon Moxley a viable villain. Have him beat Adam Copeland. Copeland can take the loss, guys. And that's the thing. It makes Jon Moxley actually look less dominant having him beat Christian Cage versus having beat Adam Copeland. But now I'm going to stop ranting. I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to stop yelling. Now we can get Moxley and Swerve put on a banger. Swerve wins the AEW World Championship. You can reignite the Christian Cage Adam Copeland feud, which I don't know why you would want to, but go for it. And then it'll be interesting to see where that leaves Jon Moxley after he loses the World Championship. But for this match, my lowest rated match of the show was the main event. Jon Moxley retains 2.25 stars. Stop doing stuff like this. It ruins your product. Guys, like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Let me know in the comments how much you disagree with my score of that main event match. I'm willing to hear you out. Give it to me. My only request is some civil discourse. Let's stay friends. I appreciate you watching the video. Thank you so much for your time, and I will see you very soon.